Me if I'm wrong. I don't care whether you're in the hotel business, the printing business, the staffing business, the computer business. It doesn't matter what we're in. The truth of the matter is this not the bottom line? Get customers, keep customers, and get those customers to say good things about us. Isn't that the bottom line? It's the mission statement any way we look at it. That's what we're trying to do, is to get customers, keep customers, and get those customers talking positively about us. If we can continually understand that in everything we do, we're going to be on so much sounder ground any way we look at it. I've bought 17 cars in my life. Every one of them from a car dealership. There's only one of those whose name I could tell you. There's only one of those I could feel any remote obligation to, because I can't even tell you the name of the other 16. Now, was it that I had a problem with them when I bought the car? Of course not. I wouldn't have bought the car from them. If they were a jerk when I bought the car, no way would I have bought it. So they were good at the point of sale, and they may have been good. I might have gotten even a thank you note from a couple of them. I can't even remember. But that was the end of it, except for one. Dwight Redmond. Bought one car from him. But every 6 months, religiously, he calls me. Every 6 months, so I don't forget his name. So that when I'm ready, he just asks how the car is doing. Do I still have it? Yeah. Be sure and remember me when you're ready for the next one. Real low key, just every 6 months, religiously. I'm in his contact management program somewhere. It's not as if he just automatically remembers me. I'll bet you he makes that call to hundreds of people just as a follow-up. I had the opportunity a few years ago of speaking to a number of Federal Express managers. I got there an hour before my speech, and it was incredible. The only thing they were dealing with for 1 hour before me was how they were going to get their on-time delivery from 98.4 to 98.5. 0.1% was all they were trying to do, because they knew they couldn't get it to 100% no matter how hard they tried. I share with you a little football story that some of you might have heard before, but it really makes a point that once we get these concepts, once we understand how critical customer service is, we can't separate effective customer service from effective sales skills. They go hand in hand. They do not separate. If we're good at one, we're good at the other, or we should be, and if we're not good at one, we're not going to be good at the other. Once we get it, we've got it. A few years back, one of the most prominent football coaches in America was interviewed, and he was asked a question. He was asked who was the greatest college football running back of all time. Now, for those of you who are football fans, I think you'd agree with me, that's a tough question. Who was the greatest college football running back of all time? Well, just out of curiosity, help me out. Who would be some of the names you might put on the table as possibilities? I would have to fudge on that. I'd have to throw a few on the table. Give me a few names. Shout them out real loud. Herschel Walker. Yeah, I'm a little partial towards Herschel. He definitely is one of the greatest. A couple more. Tony Dorsett. Yell them at me. OJ, we got to put him in there. How about the last 2 years? 2 different people broke the all-time record. Ricky and Ron Dane. We could come up with 20 or 30, couldn't we? Tough question. The interviewer asked that question to the coach, and the coach said, that's the easiest question I've ever been asked. Can you imagine? He said that the answer to that question very clearly and very simply was Red Grange. Now, for any of us that follow college football, we know that back in Red Grange's day, he averaged about 1,000 yards a year as a running back. Since Red Grange's day, there have been at least 100 running backs gained between 1,500 and up all the way up and over 2,000 yards. How in the world could this coach say Red Grange? The interviewer asked him that. How could you say that with all those players that did so much better than Red Grange ever did? And the coach said for 3 reasons. Number one, when Red Grange was playing ball, he was gaining his 1,000 yards in a season of 7 or 8 games. Today, when they're gaining 1,500, 1,800, 2,000 yards, they're doing it in a season of no less than 11 games, sometimes 12, and in some rare cases 13. They ought to be gaining more yards if they're playing that many more games. The interviewer said, I'll buy that. Coach said, second reason, nobody will dispute the fact that the ball players today are in better physical shape than they were back then. They've got all kinds of techniques and technology, et cetera, et cetera. The interviewer said, well, I never thought about that. Coach said, third reason, if you follow college football, you know good and well, in those days of Red Grange playing ball, the average lineman up front doing the blocking for him averaged 195 pounds a man. We all know today that same group of linemen in any
reasonable college football, let alone big time, average closer to 295 pounds a man. So the coach said, of course, with that much extra beef up in front of them, those guys today should be gaining more yards than they did back in Red Grange's day. Coach said, okay. Interviewer said, I'll buy all 3 of those. I'm kind of curious now. With all those things going for him, how many yards a year do you think Red Grange would gain today if he were playing ball? And the coach said, about 1,000. The interviewer said, no, wait a minute. He's got more games. He's got better training techniques. He's got all that extra beef blocking for him. Why wouldn't he gain any more yards today than he did back in those days? And the coach said, because he'd be about 92 years old today. How many saw the movie Love Story? A lot of us. There are very few movies that anybody can quote a famous line from. You know, Gone with the Wind maybe, and a couple others. We'd be hard-pressed to get anybody in here to be able to quote 10 lines from any movie. But as a group, like you did with Wendy's and Where's the Beef, I'd like to have all of you who can shout out at the same time the most famous line from the movie Love Story. Let's hear it. Love means never having to say you're sorry. The most ridiculous statement in history. Would you agree? I believe love is being able to say, I'm sorry, and bringing it into our business world, the ability to rectify our errors, the ability to say, I'm sorry, when we did make a mistake, is the ultimate of customer service. The ultimate of getting the customer to feel that we are treating them right.
If we will look at where we are today in comparison to where we could be tomorrow, we will see that there are steps that we can take to go from here to here. And if we close out with the most unusual sentence in the English language, it really says it all. You've heard it before. If it is to be, it is up to me, meaning you. Thank you so much. Pleasure being here in Omaha. And enjoy being here.
Thank you, Mike Frank. Tonight, I have the honor to present for the Distinguished Award CPAE a man who has given over 3,000 speeches in 49 states and 6 countries. It makes you tired just to think of it. I'm referring to that great man of our business, Mike Frank. There are times to speak and times to keep your mouth shut. Time to keep my mouth shut from anyone except announcing the person that makes Mike Frank, CPAE.
Olympic champion, Bob Richards.
This is Bob Richards. I've known Mike Frank personally since 1966, and I've had the pleasure of speaking with him on numerous occasions. He's a dynamic salesman, manager, executive, trainer, and speaker.
If you want a speaker with experience, credibility, and versatility, who likes to tailor his talk to your group, who is extremely reasonably priced and easy to work with, Mike Frank might be your man.